Tonight on Unmasked, we're stepping behind the scenes of horror and into the workshop where nightmares are born. Our guest is a true legend of special makeup effects, the man responsible for bringing some of the most unforgettable creatures in modern film to life. Co-founder of KNB EFX Group, his work has spanned decades of horror, fantasy, and beyond, transforming actors into monsters, creatures, and icons that have haunted our screens for years. He's an Academy Award winner for Best Makeup for his incredible work on the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and now he's pulling back the curtain on it all in his new book, Making Monsters, co-written with Marshall Julius. From blood, latex, and nightmares to the art behind the illusion, tonight, the mask comes off. This is Unmasked with Howard Berger. Welcome, Howard. Welcome to Unmasked.
That was a hell of a intro. Very
Wasn't
nice.
that something? I got through that. My third take.
That could,
what was it?
it could also be an obituary. You know, you can use it for a couple different things.
That sounds good. Yeah. So,
oh, man, I'm good at this. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're pretty good at this. This is great.
I'll be
You want to
dangerous.
be a game show host.
I'm going to start doing the shows with a bag over my head and, the unknown podcast or something like that, I think. I don't know. But anyway, it's good to have you here, Howard. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, unlike us slackers. You've got things to do. So taking the time to come here is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. And I'm sorry it took so long. I know we've been trying to do this for quite a while, and just like one thing happened after another. But I'm glad that we finally got to do this. So thank you.
We're almost into the third book, Howard. You could have waited another couple of weeks. We might have a third one.
No third book.
No third book.
I just had 2 books in me for now, so that's good. I'm groovy.
Well, I just wanted to say I reached out to you because we just started this interview show. We have a couple in the bag out there floating around on YouTube, but I wanted to reach out to you because I knew that you do interviews and you're very open about talking to people and things like that. And the book came out back in September, and we were trying to hook up, and we had the book today to talk about. But between Rich and I'm the monster. We're both monster kids, as you are. We're all from that same general generation and time frame. Growing up in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s kind of thing. And I was always the fan of the effects. I've been following them since I've been a teenager. I wasn't into sports or anything like that. I was just into you guys. Rick Baker Jack Pierce, certainly, all those guys. Collected all the past books that we may talk about. I'm an artist myself. I sculpt. I've done masks. I've done all that stuff in the past and dabbled in it. And but you guys are the ones that I followed, and I still do to this day, almost 60 years old. I still wait for the next thing, book, YouTube channel, things to come out, because the creativity part of it, obviously, which we're lacking now in our youth, not going further, but it got me through a lot, and it was a big part of my life going further, going down the road. So yeah, it's an honor to meet you.
Oh, well, thanks. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of us monster kids, which is cool. And all of us always say, because everybody in my industries, there's very few of us born and raised in California. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles. There's very few of us. A lot of transplants from all over the place, from all over the world. And we always said that if we all grew up in the same neighborhood, we would have had a killer Halloween. For sure.
How about that, right?
Oh yeah, super cool. But I mean, it all started with I grew up loving monsters and movies, same as you guys. And my dad was in the film industry. He was a post-production sound editor, and he loved movies, and he loved monster movies. And he just started showing me monster films. And I figured there was somebody probably who made those monsters for film. So I asked my dad, and he's like, yeah, they're called makeup artists, and they do this, that, and the other thing. And he bought me a couple of famous monster issues, and I was hooked at that point. And I'm like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a monster maker. That's what I want to do.
That's the thing I love the most, Howard, about your book, Making Monsters. The sections where the contributors reminisce about their childhoods. I mean, I have so many fond memories of growing up a monster kid, and how the monsters, especially Universal monsters, affected me in a lot of the ways they made me who I am today. And I didn't, at the time though, I didn't know there were so many kids just like me out there when I was little. And then later in life, we find out that we're not alone. There's so many people like us that felt the same affection for those monsters.
Yeah, and you never know who it's going to be too. That's the thing. So exactly. It's like Making Monsters is filled with 80 80 people within the film industry that are all monster fanatics, and you would never know that. Like some of
No.
them, and I think I can't remember. Might tell this story in Making Monsters, but I was doing a film called Way of the Gun that Benicio del Toro was in, and I was on set one day, and I was wearing a Creature from the Black Lagoon T-shirt, and I walked past, and he went, "That's my favorite monster." And I went, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Oh, Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's my favorite monster." And I said, "Do you like monsters?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a total monster kid." I was like, "Holy shit!" So then we talked about monsters and all that good stuff, and we ended up working with Benicio on Sin City. And he came in, and I had told Greg Nicotero, who I co-owned KNB with, that Benicio's a big Creature fan. So we had a mold from the original Creature head, and we ran one and painted it for Benicio. So when he came in for life casting, he got to take home a Creature head.
Wow.
He was out of his mind.
Yeah, that acting, that's not a bad gig, right? You get a Creature head. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you come in for a life cast and you get a Creature head.
That is sweet.
Yeah, you never know. I've worked with so many actors and producers, and I mean, look at J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams wanted to be a makeup effects guy. He took Dick Smith's makeup course, but wasn't good enough. And Dick said, "Listen, you're not going to be a makeup artist. You should think about doing something else in the film industry because you're very creative, but makeup isn't for you." And he became a writer and director and producer. And
How about that? Found his thing, right? He just found his thing.
He did. It just wasn't makeup, but he's a big advocate of makeup, which is super cool, and really respects the craft and the people and the history of it. So that's really cool.
Well, before we get further, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
Did you take Dick Smith's course, or was that you too late? You're too late for that, or was that the advanced makeup?
I took Dick Smith. I have Dick Smith's course. There you go. So yeah, I mean, at a certain point, I out and I bought the course from Dick because I wanted it, and I still reference it. It's really fantastic, After Dick passed away, Andy Clement, who's another makeup artist, took it over, and he's been updating it and so forth and so on. So
yeah, I applied for it in the 1990s when Dick moved down to Sarasota, and he took me on the first pass, and I got into the course.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
He did, honestly. Awesome. And I corresponded him for 2 years back and forth through the mail, mainly, and he would talk to me about. Yeah, I didn't go further with it. I did get into aspects of the industry a little bit, but I didn't move out to California. But it was fun to look back. I have it like you do, and it has all his handwritten notes and the margins and all the little changes in the formulas. It's really fun to look at,
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, I'm a huge Dick Smith fan, and Rick Baker and Stan Winston and Rob Bottin and Greg Canham. Those are like my big guys. Those are the guys I really grew up loving and admiring. And when you're a kid and you just dream of working with these guys or meeting them, and it happens, it holds a lot. It's a heavy thing, and I met Stan Winston. His studio was it's kind of walking distance from my house when I grew up, and I had found where his shop was, and I packed up my stuff one day and I walked about a mile up the street and then got to Stan Winston Studios on the door and knocked on it. I was 12 years old, and he opened up the door, and I was like so excited, and I'm like, "Hi, my name's Howard Berger. I really want to be a part." And I literally had like a shoebox of shit and some photos in a scrapbook and whatever. And he let me in, and I just remember the smell of the shop. It smelled like Roma clay, which is the clay we all used to use. And it was just so great, foam rubber and all this. And I got to spend, a couple hours at Stan Winston's, which is crazy. 12 years old,
That's what I wanted to ask you about, Howard, because that just blows me away that you had the wherewithal at 12 years old to contact Stan Winston, walk right in. Now, when I was a kid that age, I wanted to be a comic book artist. But if Jack Kirby lived down the street from me, I don't know if I would have had the guts to go knock on his door and say, "Hey, Jack, can I draw with you?" He probably would have let me. I don't know. But I don't know if I'd have. Where does that confidence come from, Howard? Your parents?
I don't know. I don't know. No, because what's weird? I was like a really scared little kid. Like I had a super heavy anxiety. was always getting sick if I had to try something new. God forbid I had to go to a birthday party or something. I was terrified growing up, but somehow, like, I felt comfortable and I felt like a kinship with these people. How I met Rick Baker was I had seen Rick Baker talk at a convention back in like 1977. And I'm like, oh my God, that guy is great. I actually went to this convention in LA to go see Ray Harryhausen because I wanted to be a stop motion animator. But then when I saw Rick Baker, I was like, no, I'm definitely going to do makeup. I want to do makeup. But I was trying to find Rick in the yellow pages, and I'm looking, Rick Baker, no Rick Baker. About that time, a movie came out called The Incredible Shrinking Woman. And in that movie, Rick plays, and he made the Sydney gorilla, which I love that gorilla. It's still one of my favorite movie gorillas. But he wasn't credited as Rick Baker. He was credited as Richard A. Baker. And I'm like, aha, Richard A. Baker. So I went back to the yellow pages. There's a Richard A. Baker, North Hollywood, lived on Hortense Street. And I was like, I bet that's him. So I made a phone call and a woman answered. It was his then wife, Elaine. And I said, hi, my name's Howard Berger, and I'm an aspiring makeup effects artist, and I'm a big fan of Rick Baker's. And I was just curious if this is Rick Baker's house. And she said, it is. This is where Rick lives, but he's working now. But if you want to call back another time. Well, to me, that meant call every single night. I called Rick Baker's house every night for 6 months. And then after 6 months, Elaine said, hey, listen, you obviously really want to talk to Rick. So I told him about you, that there's a kid that keeps calling every single night. And he said to call him at the shop and he'll talk to you. And I was like, oh my God. So I hung up. I was hyperventilating. I called Rick Baker's. Somebody answered and I'm like, hi, my name's Howard Berger. Is Rick Baker there? And it's like, this is Rick Baker. And I couldn't catch my breath. And I was like really hyperventilating. And he's like, just calm down. I'm just a normal person. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're Rick Baker. You're the greatest monster maker of all time. Anyhow, it was so nice because, we talked for a little bit. And I'm like 13, 14 years old. And then Rick invites me to his studio. He's like, well, would you like to come visit, our studio here? And I'm like, oh my God, yes. And at that point, it was what was it called? It was Boris. It was called, I think it was called Boris. Yeah, Boris. And anyhow, I got to go visit. So I ran into the kitchen and my mom was in there and I said, Mom, I just talked to Rick Baker and he invited me over tomorrow to the shop, but I know I have school, but can I please not go to school? And can I please go visit Rick Baker? And she's like, of course, don't worry about school. You must go visit Rick Baker. So I packed up all my shit, went there. And it was about that time that Fangoria had started to come out and they put out that article about Rick Baker and it was called Baker's Half Dozen. And it featured Rick and all the guys that worked at the shop. And in my mind, those guys all lived there. Like they had bunk beds and they, like Elaine cooked for them and all this stuff. That wasn't it at all. But I went and I spent the day at Rick Baker's and it was incredible. And from that point on, I always maintained a relationship and I have a friendship with Rick now. I still get nervous, believe it or not. It's been a lot of years. Yeah, it's Rick Baker. I'm still in awe of Rick Baker. I'm going to be in awe of Rick Baker till the day I'm gone, And
I can understand. I understand. I feel the same way about Rob when I'm around.
Yeah. There you go. Why wouldn't you?
Rick's origin story is very similar when he would correspond with Dick Smith from California to Larchmont, and then he invited him out and he stayed the weekend, went on a trip and stayed there for the weekend. So it's a very similar story.
Yeah. And I mean, and Dick Smith Dick Smith hired Rick to work on The Exorcist, and help with the Father Merrin makeup and in Iraq where they shot it. And incredible, but Dick Smith was such a giving human being till the very, very end and even beyond, because I'm have a relationship with his sons, David and Douglas. And we've been dealing with a lot of their stuff, a lot of Dick's stuff lately, regarding donations, just because there was a storage unit here in LA and there's a storage unit in Connecticut. And we were able to access both. And they've been very generous with donating things to the Academy Museum, which is in Los Angeles, which is incredible and has amazing Dick Smith artifacts. And also, they were very, very kind about giving me some stuff too that belonged to Dick, which is really nice. Actually, I'll show you. Want to see something?
Oh, sure. Definitely.
All right. So this is cool. This is a little box. Look, it says Dick Smith on it.
Wow.
And there's a photo of Dick on there. But what's super cool is in here are all Dick's sculpting tools.
Oh my
Awesome.
Lord.
Oh man.
If they could talk,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So like, there's a Dick Smith brush sculpting tool.
Wow.
Yeah.
These
I'm
are all
blown
Dick's.
away. That's amazing.
And it's cool looking at stuff. It's like safety pins, but that's Dick's writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has really
He labeled
specific writing.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, even wire. Dick Smith's wire.
Just in case he
Yeah.
dropped it somewhere.
Just in case, like, whose wire is that? It's like, oh, for God's sake, that's my wire. But yeah, all these brushes and such. So these are all Dick.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. These are all Dick Smith sculpting tools that I keep on my desk in my office, and I've given a few of them out to some friends of mine, that are like Bill Corso and Joel Harlow, who are, good friends and amazing makeup
Sure.
artists and sculptors. And I'm like,
That's incredible.
you guys should sculpt with some Dick Smith stuff,
You know what
yeah.
Howard, I thought about before, the house in Larchmont where his basement was his lab, his workshop. Does the
Yeah.
family still own that, or the family still
No.
own that? Do you know? Or imagine
It's long.
the people don't realize. Oh, the house is gone. Is the
Yeah.
house gone, or?
No,
Man.
No, it's there. But when Dick moved to
Oh.
Sarasota, he sold that house and then moved to Sarasota with his wife. And then they moved back to New York, and she passed away. And then he ended up moving to LA in his last 6 or 7 years. He was here in LA.
People wouldn't realize what happened in that basement. Think about that. All those movies that were done down there.
Listen,
That's a museum. It should be.
you're right about that. And it's like I drive past some of the shops. Like I drive by Stan Winston's old studio where I used to work, and I was driving the back, and I'm like, nobody here knows what happened. Like this is where we did the big mock-up of the Queen Alien, that you've seen on YouTube. And
Plastic
right there in
bags,
in the back, and all the magical things that happened. Or like, and up the street, it was Carlo Rambaldi's shop, and it's now an auto mechanics place. And I'm like, they have no idea. Like E.T. was made in there, and the counters aliens, and the alien. It's part of the lost history of Hollywood. Hollywood is not very good, and LA is not very good with keeping up with any sort of care about its history. Sadly,
yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I do.
Everything seems very disposable, especially these days.
It is.
It just
It's
comes
very
and goes.
disposable. I mean, why not? Why don't you tear down the Cinerama Dome so you can put another Sephora and Starbucks there,
because we can't have enough of those.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And but yeah, I really keep hold of all that stuff, and so it was an honor for me to go through Dick's storage unit. So the one here in Oxnard, this was a number of years ago, and David and Douglas had called and said they wanted to get rid of the storage unit, and they had me go and unload it all, and then I took it back to the studio to KNB and inventoried it, and it was pretty amazing. Some pretty incredible treasures. Dick's Oscars were in there, his Emmys, his BAFTAs.
Wow. Oh man, wow!
On top of like just amazing things, amazing artifacts, that were gorgeous, and some, like I said, we returned a lot of the awards to where they came from, because that's what we should do, and the brothers, I shipped a bunch of stuff to Douglas and David because they wanted a bunch of stuff. And then the Academy Museum got a bunch of stuff, which is really great. So that'll be taken care of forever and maintain Dick's legacy. So
that's fantastic. That really is. I loved your story about aliens. I love the movie Aliens. It's like one of my all-time favorite flicks. With the story you told about the alien suit coming in a crate held together with like bottle caps or something. You said.
Well, it was like it felt, because H.R. Giger was a surreal artist. He was a real artist. He was doing, kind of like the found object art to some degree, as far as that suit went. And so when we got this crate when we were at Stan Winston's, and we cracked it open, myself and Bob Kurtzman, and it smelled terrible, and because it probably like got off the guy and they just threw it in the box and left it there. So, his sweat mixed with the latex and all that stuff just kind of get a little musty and icky. But we got the original suit out and we were looking at it, and there's like macaroni grilled to it, and bottle caps and all this other crazy stuff spray painted black. But it's like on film that stuff looks super cool,
Yeah. Yeah. You
but
can't tell.
looking at it like, can you believe this? This is incredible. Look at all this stuff. And the rubber feet were just slip-ons over like a pair of Converse tennis shoes. It
Really?
was really, yeah, it was really
Hard
simplistic.
to
I
believe.
remember. I know. I wish
Movie
I could
magic.
photo. It is. But that creature works so well, and nothing like that had ever been done before. That's like the greatest design of an alien or of a creature at all, because it's just the silhouette is so amazing,
Oh, yeah.
and that's really what it's about for me, is the silhouette. And the way Ridley Scott utilized it, the way he photographed it, the way it was lit, the way the set was built, so that the creature.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really pretty fantastic. So
I'm just popping some pictures up of you here while we're talking and everything else.
I got a question for Howard, if I could.
Yeah.
I want to go back
for
to back to your youth real quick again. When you did your first book, the two books you got, the Masters of Makeup Effects, and then you have the Making Monsters. With one of those two, or is it the first one or second one that was influenced by the Al Taylor book, the Making a Monster?
Masters of Makeup Effects was inspired by Making a Monster.
This one here. Yeah.
That one is inspired by Making a Monster, because I loved Making a Monster. That was like my favorite book growing up, and I carried it around. Yep, there you go.
Right here.
There it is.
I have multiple copies, but my most favorite copy is the one that's all autographed. So I got it all signed by everybody that's almost in that book, which was super exciting.
Well, my little story on this book was that when it came out in like early 80s, it was at my local mall. I was probably like 13. And it was sitting in this weird store. It was like a Spencer's. It had all this weird girly stuff. This picture of the Planet of the Apes was sitting right in the middle of all this pink and purple stuff. And for like 2 weeks, I would go to the mall and stare at it. And I says, I got to have that book. I have to have that book. Yeah. So I eventually got my $20. I bought the book, and I've had it ever since. But the cover came off. I lost the cover. It got ripped up and everything. So what I did is I bought another copy of the book off of eBay, put the cover on my edition because it's got all my patina in it and little bits of clay and plaster and everything in there. And I donated the book without the cover to a children's library, hoping that one of them would put down their cell phone and pick this up and learn something and make a monster.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. No, listen, I cherish that book. So I always felt like there should be a sequel to this book, because it's it stopped at a certain point. And there never was. So I was like, I think I want to write that. And Marshall Julius, who's my co-author, kept bugging me for years and years and years, like, oh, we should write a book. And I just didn't have the time, and I knew it was a big investment. And then when the pandemic hit, he called and said, well, you don't have an excuse now. You're going to be home for months and months. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's write a book. So we wrote a book.
There you go. All right, make lemonade. That's the way you do it.
And we got to talk to all our friends and do interviews, and it was fun. It was a fun thing to do. The first book was a blast. The second book was fun too, but it was a little more laborious. The first book, I think, was more fun making, but this second book was good fun as well.
Yeah, it's good to document it so other generations can look at it down the road and see everything.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it's people find it's a really good oral history of monsters and movies. So that made me happy. I've had some scholarly people in the industry go, "That's a great history book." So this book
was really fun because it had all the behind the scenes photos. You see the labs with the molds and the laying up all the little that's because we didn't have anything back then. We didn't have the internet or anything to see how it was done. So it was kind of fun to see him actually doing it.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I loved it all. I think it's a great book. I look at it often, and so many of those guys are gone now. But I got all their autographs, and they were all excited to sign the book and tell stories of the pictures, what was happening behind the scenes. So it was great. It was good fun.
Howard, how many times have you watched this? Let's see.
Howard Berger and Tammy Lane for the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
This is the first Oscar nomination for Howard Berger and Tammy Lane.
Well, I haven't watched it for a while, so. I'm like pulling Candy up because they tell you only have a minute. And
Just
like,
a minute?
You gotta go. You gotta go. Well, I'm just glad.
Oops, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
cut
okay.
you
You
off when
can
you're.
cut me. No, I don't need to hear.
Tammy came into the studio much like you did, right? When she was a college student. Is that how you two met?
Yeah. Tam and I met. She was like 18 or 19, and she was
Wow.
going to Bradley University in Peoria, and she was her school was visiting LA, and they went to all these different places. And one of the guys that had graduated, one of our guys, Henrik von Reisen, had graduated from Bradley, and he said, "Oh, hey, my college is in school or in LA. Can they come and visit?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because I always loved doing stuff like that. And so they came in, and I met Tammy, and you know, I don't know, something clicked, and she didn't work with us for a little bit because she went back and had to finish school, but she stayed in touch and she corresponded, and she moved out, and I didn't have any work for her yet, but she something came in, and I'm like, oh shit, I need more people. I'm going to call this girl. And so I called Tammy. It happened to be her birthday, and hired her on her birthday. And she
Wow.
started, and then we've just been working for years and years and years and years and years. So it's been decades. Yeah, it's been
And she was educated much like my sister. She's a graphic designer. That's how she started
yeah,
off as.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
She
was
was
pretty
going to be
impressed by that.
yeah, she was going to be a production designer, is what she
Yeah.
wanted to do. And then all it took was one visit to KNB, and she was
That was
set.
huh?
That was it. That's all
Wow.
she needed.
Good for her. That's amazing. Great story.
Yeah, so she's a busy girl. She's in New Zealand right now working on a movie, not for me, but for some other people. But she's she ran all 3 seasons of Interview with a Vampire, and the next season, the new season, is coming out in June. Yeah, right around the corner. But
Wow.
she's a workhorse, that one. She's super talented, and really great artist, and great person to work with.
And then to
Howard,
walk away
what's
with the
your thought?
Academy Award. That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
What's your
but that was fun. It's fun. But that stuff's gravy to me. Like, I've heard people say like, oh yeah, this movie's my Oscar. And I'm like, no, now it's not going to happen, because you don't do anything for that. That's not
right.
why you're doing the job. You're doing it because it's cool and it's fun and you want to have a
Yeah.
great time, and make money, of course. But you don't go in thinking like this is your award show. That's and people that do that are foolish.
Did Les Mis have any kind of prosthetic makeups, or was it all just straight makeup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, "Oh, if you had put dirt on Tony Hopkins, maybe you would have won." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." Yeah, that. Sometimes at the Oscars, and I love the Oscars and I love the Academy, but sometimes that things get a little misinterpreted, and that was a great example of like a movie that you're like, wait a minute, you've got Hitchcock and you have The Hobbit, and then Les Mis wins.
Yeah.
You just kind of scratch your head. It's very similar to other films. Like I remember Lone Ranger and Brad Grandpa were nominated the year Dallas Buyers Club won, and we were just all scratching our heads like, I don't get it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same. That happens a lot with the Oscars too. You sit there going, what?
It does. I mean, when it opens up for general membership voting, you never know. You just don't know, But I mean, this year was great. I was really happy Frankenstein won, and
Yeah.
Horror's back in the Oscars.
it is. Yeah,
we did a whole show about that because we were like amazed at when the nominations came out. It's like, oh my God, they're actually nominating horror films. It's incredible.
I know, I love it.
And a few of them too. And I like the ones they nominated, like Sinners, Weapons. Those movies were really well done. So
really well done. Yeah, no, I love those movies, and it was great. I was so happy to see.
It was great that Mike Hill won. Mike Hill winning was really cool. I always tell the story how he tells the story how he was a kid, real poor overseas, and he would go to the riverbank and collect clay to sculpt with, and now he's an Oscar winner. So it's kind of a really cool story.
It worked out. Yeah, no, Mike is great. Mike's a super talented guy. So I was happy to see that. I mean, I thought this year all the nominations were great. Especially for our branch for makeup and hair. I thought were very, very strong. So I would have been happy with any of them winning because I thought they were all exceptional. But I kind of felt like it was leading towards that path that Frankenstein, which it is. It's a great representation of what we do, you know, makeup and hair and prosthetics and everything. So it was good. I thought it was neck and neck. Sinners and Frankenstein were kind of neck and neck. So, but yeah. I was happy with it all.
Yeah, which one of them had won Best Picture? That would have been pretty cool. But,
that would have been super cool, you know.
That would have really been the capper, right?
That would have been a horror movie wins an Oscar. But I mean, you know, Silence of the Lambs to me is a horror movie, you know, and that one is. You know, so many times studios try to sell things as like thrillers, but I'm like, no, that's a full-on horror movie. Silence of the Lambs is a horror.
So. Oh, I agree. That and Jaws is still debated whether that's a horror movie or. I say it's a horror movie. It's a monster movie. You know,
it's a monster movie.
That's Absolutely. The way I see it.
Same as Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody says.
That'll be debated till the end of time. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't know where that came from.
It is. It's a Christmas movie. It is. Come on. There's jingle bells in it. There's everything. I worked with Bruce Willis years ago, and I asked Bruce, and he's like, "It's not a Christmas movie." I'm like, "It's a Christmas movie."
I've heard people argue about that over and over again. I have friends that insist on watching it, you know, on Christmas Eve and stuff.
Yeah, it's a great Christmas movie.
Didn't we get into that, Rob? You and I, didn't we have a big thing about that?
I think we did a little bit, yeah.
Because I don't think it is, and you think
Gremlins.
It is.
We talked about Gremlins being a Christmas movie. You know,
Gremlins is a Christmas movie, but Die Hard to me is a Christmas because it takes place on Christmas Eve. You know, there's the jingle of jingle bells through the whole movie.
It's got guns, so it's Christmas.
Guns. Terrorists. You know.
Hey, A Christmas Story's got a gun in it, and it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. See?
Oh boy, you know, there you go. Who could argue with that
on this
type of logic?
Right.
I can't argue with that.
Absolutely.
We have some questions we wanted to ask you. As we do with our Unmasked thing, we try to get a little bit more in depth. But you already touched upon one of the things I wanted to ask you about, and that was the creature from the Black Lagoon. And my favorite monster as well, of all the monsters, even the Universal, yes, but every monster. I love the creature. He's all over my room here.
Cool.
It decorated the whole place. But the thing I wanted to ask you about the attraction to the creature and the influence it has on you is like when I was a kid, the creature never frightened me. As with most of the Universal monsters, I was never afraid of those films or those monsters because, in the creature's case especially, I just kind of felt sorry for him, you know. And I felt at the end of the trilogy, they really left us with a great deal of sadness and despair. And I know you appreciate the artistry that went into bringing the Gill-Man to the screen, but as a kid, did you feel a more personal connection with the Gill-Man like I did when it comes to that? Like the sadness of the story or something like that? I don't know.
No, 100%. I mean, I was fascinated with the look of the creature.
Right.
Itself. I just thought it was beautiful, and I'd never seen anything like that. And it was so perfect, and it still is perfect. I just watched it like 3 weeks ago with my little nephew, who was here visiting from Norway, and he had not seen it. And I was like, let's watch Creature in the Black Lagoon.
How old was he? How old was
he's 10 years old.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
So he liked it. He thought it was cool. We turned on the subtitles because he knows how to speak English, but it helped him read what was going on. So that was good. But it's a cool monster. And listen, I come from the world of believing that monsters are victims of circumstance. And the fact is that, like King Kong was fine living on Skull Island until Carl Dang and everybody else showed up and tried to, and moved him off. Same with Creature, same with all these monsters. Maybe Dracula is the only one that like, okay, yeah, he's not a victim of circumstance, but all these other characters and all these other creatures are, and I always feel for them. It's like one of my favorite Ray Harryhausen movies is Valley of the Gwangi. I love Valley of the. Yeah, it's got dinosaurs and cowboys, and it's sad at the end when Gwangi dies, and the church burns down. And I remember showing my children that movie when they were young, and my daughter was crying because she was so upset that they killed Gwangi. Like, that kid is totally me. Like she's got it. She understood that. again, a victim of circumstance. Gwangi was fine living in the valley of the Gwangi, and
Yeah.
they all come
That's exactly what it was. Is when I watched those things when I was a child, and my parents started buying me the Aurora Monster kit, model kits, and the monster scenes things, and all that other good stuff. It was just like they were like feeding into this thing that I had, where I was just these were like I don't even know how to describe it. They were like friends to me. You know what I mean? They were like
Yeah,
I
they
felt
are
a
friends.
kinship with them somehow because I was a little different. They were very different. It was a strange.
Yeah. No, the monsters are our friends. We love our monsters. Like this is my office at home, and I've got monsters everywhere. And I love all my
I
monsters.
certainly hope so. If you didn't have monsters all over your office, what hope do we all have here? We'd be.
I know. I have 2 rooms that are monstery. So my office, and then I have like a lounge. It's called the Haunted Lounge, and my wife built it, and it's a haunted mansion themed. And it's super.
Wow! Oh
Yeah.
man, that sounds great.
Yeah, you can smoke cigars in there, and it's really cool. I love it in there.
I'm going to show my wife this.
Is there still talk in the industry about remaking the Creature from the Black Lagoon? I know they've gone back and forth.
There is. I mean, every time I hear it, I cringe.
Yeah,
me too.
I think they're going to fudge it up. Years and years and years ago, we got approached to bid on it, and we got the script, and I just thought it was so bad. And at that point, it was Breck Eisner was going to direct it, Michael Eisner's son, who did the remake of The Crazies, which actually I think he did a good job on. But it was just not the right movie. I hope they don't remake it.
No, they can't. No.
Let's release. They can re-release the original, and I'd be happy.
They can't get the Mummy right. How are they going to get the Creature from the Black Lagoon?
I don't know. Hey, I haven't seen the new Did you guys see the new Mummy?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
I want to go see it. I mean, listen, I think it looks cool. I'm up for anything. I mean, I even went to see the Wolfman, and the one that came out last year.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched that. Yeah, so, I think they're just putting a different spin on the monsters because they're not trying to recreate the Universal monsters. Right. They're doing a whole different thing, which is interesting when it works.
Yeah, when it works. So far, it hasn't. I think that the Wolfman movie that came out last year, it should have been called something else because it wasn't the Wolf. And there's just that movie just didn't hit it. It was too bad because really talented stuff. This guy Arian is the makeup artist, and Pamela. They did great work. It just was so. I don't know. The movie just wasn't the Wolfman, and it just shouldn't have been called that.
I felt the same way about The Invisible Man that came out before that too.
Yeah, but I like that one. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool twist. I think you can do. I think it's different with The Invisible Man, because that can lead into a lot of different things,
right?
But I think when you call it the Wolfman, you better have
a Wolfman
in the movie. And also, that movie was miscast, and there's that scene when they're in the house and. There's the wolf creature outside or the monster outside, and they're boarding up the doors, but there's windows everywhere. And I'm like, so is the Wolfman afraid of windows? Go through the window? It was really a ridiculous film. There was a couple things I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But overall, I was like, meh.
I think the only way they could do the creature successfully is maybe the way they did Nosferatu is kind of a period piece type of thing. Maybe take it back like a legendary...
Yeah, if Robert Eggers wants to do a creature,
there you go.
I'm up for that.
Well, he's doing a werewolf movie, right? He's doing
it's coming out this year. Werewolf. Yeah, it's going to come out this year, and I'm sure it's going to be badass.
I'm excited
because I really, really like Nosferatu. I really like.
I did too. Yeah, I love that movie. It's great.
Yeah, out of all his films, which I'm really hot and cold on, but I appreciate his filmmaking method and mission and style. I just not a fan of his movies. Like I don't find them enjoyable, but I really, really like Nosferatu. I thought
I'm pretty much on the same page with you when it comes to that. Because Nosferatu was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know what to expect, but by the time the movie was over, I was just blown away. I was like, perfect.
Yeah, it was cool, and they didn't show much. And I know some people have criticism of the Nosferatu character that David White did, but I really dig it. I think it's super cool. I love the hair. Yeah. That matted. Like he's basically falling apart and deteriorating, but there's still some sort of he's proud, of his
Yeah.
appearance. He still coiffs his hair even
Using
though
what he
he's
has.
Yeah.
rotting. And I'm like, God, that's cool. And I love the mustache because I'd
Yeah.
never seen that before.
Look like a
I was
Vlad the Impaler portrait. That's where
well,
they got
he's basically a Cossack,
right.
So I was like, that's super cool, man. That's a really cool take. And I love this all the stuff at the end of the movie when he's dying, with
Oh yeah,
Lily
fantastic.
death. I mean, I was like, this is badass. So I'm hoping Werewolf will be really cool.
Yeah, you and me both.
But yeah, I'm really apprehensive about a Creature remake. I've heard it a couple times, and I'm like, eesh, I don't know.
I love that monster so much. I don't know what I'd do if they screwed that up. I don't know how I'd handle that.
I'm fearful that they will screw it up. So, they'll make it CGI and who knows what.
Thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your I know what's your thoughts on it? How is it in the industry right now with CGI and now with AI coming in? Is it leveling out and more practical coming back, or where do you see it? Is it
Oh
really
no.
not, or
So,
no?
no, I don't. I really can't judge anymore. It's just so bizarre what's happening in the film industry. I think AI is a tool like anything. As I don't know where it's going. I hope it doesn't take a lot of jobs. I don't know. We're going to have to see. I think it's still too early. But you have to remember, people were up in arms when Photoshop came out,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
furious. Now everybody uses Photoshop. AI. I was not up for AI at all. I was really offended by it, and then I started to okay, I get it. I mean, I think most of it looks like shit.
That's
And
true.
you're like, this is so junky looking, but that's today. Tomorrow it can be amazing. I think you
I'm
can
using
pretty
a
much.
lot now as a graphic designer, and at
Yeah,
first, a lot of people are afraid they're not going to get jobs in the industry coming out of college and stuff, and they may not because you do have to learn how to use it as a tool, like you said, and that's what I've been doing a lot in my job. I've learned how to. It's almost like a personal assistant for me, or somebody working by my
yeah,
side, and it's like help me out with this a little, help me out with that a little, and
absolutely.
it's
No, and
great
that's
time
how.
saver. You know,
Yeah, it is, and that's how we're using it. That's how I use it. It's like it kind of helps fill in the blanks, and also gives you options you might not think of.
that's
But
exactly
we
right.
but we never submit a piece of AI generated art and oh, hey, what do you think of this idea? It always goes back into the hands of a traditional artist,
Yes.
and who may take stuff from it or rework it. And, that's the stuff I find that's exciting,
Yeah, that's what
So,
I've been doing as well. I take pieces from things and ideas from things, bring them into Photoshop, bring them into the other programs, put
right.
my touch on it, put it all together, and it
Mhm.
ends up being great. But it's like you said, it's an idea generator. It helps me,
Yeah.
like I'm stuck, I can't think of something, and then well, maybe I can work with this, maybe I can work with
Yeah,
that.
it's
But
super cool. We were coming up with some movie posters recently and just putting stuff in. And the posters were really super cool that they were coming up with. I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. I
Yeah.
never thought of,
the teachers
you
in
know,
college and stuff, they have to try to keep the kids from using it as a crutch and
right.
learn to not just rely on it entirely because you do have talent. Don't
Right.
stop using it. That's the
Oh,
important thing to
absolutely.
remember.
Oh, absolutely. You gotta just keep going with it. But
Exactly.
it's a great tool. So
Well,
it's all
I
very,
have another question for you. Something interesting. See what you think of this one. All right,
all
here it
right.
goes. You ready for this scenario? Doc Brown. He shows up with the DeLorean, right? And he
Hmm.
says, I got a time machine here, Howard, and you get to punch in the numbers. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go to work at? What
That's
scenario would
easy.
you like to find yourself in?
I'm going to go back to Creature in the Black Lagoon. That's
Oh,
easy.
see, I
I
set
want to
that
go
all
back.
up.
I want to go back to the workshop at Universal Studios. Go see Chris Mueller sculpting that creature. Be there.
Yeah.
Find out. Find out the truth. Who really made what, and
Yeah.
just be there to see the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and go to set.
Yeah.
But if
See,
I would hope that I could still have my phone so I can sneak some photos and no, this is what it looked like for real on set. And but yeah, I would say go back in time I mean, I'm sure there's other things like I go back in time and kill Hitler or whatever, but that would be the right thing to do, I guess. But no, but as a film fanatic, I'm like, I want to go visit the set of Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Howard, we Rich and I live. Rich lives in St. Augustine, Florida. I live right down the road, and they filmed parts of Creature from the Black Lagoon here in Palaca, where I live, on the river. There's a river down here called Rice Creek, and for some
Yeah,
of the walking scenes they filmed there. And then we got all the springs here where they did all the diving scenes. We go there to uh, all the springs, and then we have Marineland right up the road
right.
where they filmed the second one. So we were in the mecca of it right here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did these two movies called Dolphin Tale that we shot in um, Clearwater. And so our stunt coordinator was Rico Browning Jr. But I would just call him Son of Creature. That's all I refer. Son of Creature, what are we doing today? But on the first movie, which was in 2013, Son of Creature brought Rico to set, Senior.
Wow.
And I mean, come on. And we were all
Yeah.
flipped out. And he signed autographs and he talked about the creature, and it was so great. And when I went back to do the second movie, unfortunately, Rico was not doing well. He wasn't feeling well. But Rico Jr. went and visited him, and he came back with more autographs for all of us. And it was great. But I mean, to be there with Rico Browning, who is
we both met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a thrill for me. I went to the thing at the Springs called Gillibration. They called it Gillibration, and they had a guy dressed up in a Gillman suit, and Rico was so nice. I got to sit with him and talk to him for a little while, and he had a question and answer thing he did, and at that point he was still pretty spry for an old guy. He sat there for about an hour answering questions, telling stories, and it was a thrill for me. It really was.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, he was awesome. And we also everybody knows him as Creature from the Black Lagoon, but he did so much other stuff. He was the stunt coordinator on Thunderball, and all that underwater stuff, and did so much stuff. So I think Rico Jr. wrote a book called My Mother Was a Mermaid, My Father Was a Creature, because his mother was a mermaid at Marineland.
Wiki Wachi. Oh, Marineland.
Yeah.
Marineland.
Yeah, or I think, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is not Marineland, but that's where they met and fell in love, and then they created, Son of Creature. So
History.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I know you have to get ready to go, Howard. So I just wanted to ask you one last thing. Rob, you got anything else important on your list there you wanted to throw Howard's way?
Not really. I got one more to ask. I'll ask after you ask your question, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, it's not really a question, but I was going to end the show with this, but we'll do it now. It's a message to all those young monster kids out there. I have to read this because I wrote a bunch of stuff, and they're dreaming about being successful, making their own creatures one day. And Howard, your message from your book especially is simple: do what you love, and your dreams will come true. And I know the landscape has changed since you first came on the scene in the FX business, and it's highly competitive. But is there still room for a monster kid with a dream out there and ambition in today's special effects industry? Is there any advice or words of wisdom you could provide?
I mean, here's the thing. I think the reality of it is different. It's not what it was. I think if you love making monsters, keep making monsters, because there's always some sort of facet for that. That's never going to change. It just might be a different way you use the talents. So maybe you don't end up working in the film industry, but there's other aspects you can do. There's tons of other things you can do. Like the haunt world is huge. You like trans world and all this stuff. But there's a lot of different avenues. But I think ultimately, I have friends that just make monsters in their garage. They just do masks, and
like Rob.
And they're cool. Yeah, there you go. And you just make masks, and that is really thrilling and fantastic, and you're doing it for yourself. I think that there's definitely other opportunities out there. If the opportunity of getting into film doesn't work out just because the landscape is so different now, my generation is the last generation to before it all changed. Like, we came in and saw the purity of it, when it
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
handcrafted, and we didn't have digital interference, and it's just a different world now, and things are changing, and the next generations will want something else and see something else, and it'll keep growing and growing and growing and evolving. So so a lot of people say, I wish we could go back too, but there is no going back, there's only moving forward.
Right.
So that's what you got to do. You got to focus on it and see the things that you love to do, how you can apply them to other things and be able to make a living doing what you love. It might have to alter a little bit, in your mind, but you can still do it. And, there's nothing stopping anybody.
Great answer. Yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying about when we were discussing AI and stuff. I think it's taking your talent, your creativity, and taking the tools at hand that we have nowadays and finding the
Absolutely.
best way to utilize those to make the best things possible. Like you said, not to just throw some junk up there,
Yeah. No, make it cool, make your own movies. There you go.
Yeah.
Your own
Agreed.
movies.
I'm surprised more people aren't. We carry a camera around in our pockets.
Oh, well, listen, the hardest thing to do is to get started.
This is true.
Yeah.
And I suffer from that. I'm always like, I'm going to paint today. And I'm like, as soon as I'm done doing this, or as soon as I'm done, I got to do this, or I got to do that. And then the day's gone, and I'm like, oh, I didn't paint, but I'll try to do it tomorrow. So
I've been staring at this blank
least
canvas on
photo,
an easel I have over here in my
Yeah,
corner
it's
for
the
like
hard- my
6
wife-
months.
Yeah, no, it's torturous. My wife's a fine artist, and she's always like, just start, just do it, But it is the hardest to start.
All right, Rob, you want to finish the show up?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Just one final question. Since I got a effects insider in front of me, do we have any idea where Rob Bottin is? Do you have any idea? Does anybody know?
Right now, he's probably at his house.
You're still looking for Rob Bottin. Rob's been
We're
looking
still
for
looking.
Bottin for a
Where's he
while.
Well, from what I understand, Rob still lives here in LA. I think in El Monte. He's very elusive. I've reached out to him numerous times. I tried to get him for both books,
Yeah.
numerous times. Didn't hear back. There's a couple people that are in contact with Rob, but he's kind of the Howard Hughes of makeup effects.
Probably
And-
likes it that way too, right?
I think he does. I think he's kind of a guy that's that sort of guy, But yeah, a couple of my friends are talk to him often, so that's nice. So he's
Wow,
doing well.
good.
That could be our
Yeah,
new
he's
show,
definitely-
Rob, here on the channel. It could be Searching for
Yeah,
Bottin. You and I
Yeah,
could
we're
go
on
off.
search mode. We're on our Nimoy.
Yeah, you and I could go off in travels.
Search of Rob, and you'd like think you catch glimpses of him. And,
They did that with
Walk-
Steve Ditko back in the day, right? When they
Yeah.
couldn't find him.
that's right. But yeah, no, I mean, I have Rob's number and I call it, but he doesn't answer. He doesn't call
Well,
back.
Well, Howard, you won't have
Brilliant.
that problem
That's
with us
funny.
if you want to call us
Oh, good.
anytime.
That sounds great.
I want to thank you so Rob and I want to
And-
thank you so much for being on this
Yeah,
episode of
you guys.
Unmasked. It's been a
I'm so
distinct
sorry.
pleasure for us both. It really has.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm sorry it took so long.
No, not at all. It's
And-
hard to believe you're actually here talking to us in that picture frame. So I'm
And
so happy you're
If we
here.
ever get to LA, we're going to knock on KNB's door. We want a tour.
I'm sure we
Yeah,
can
I
figure
certainly
that out.
hope our paths will cross very soon. Thank you, Howard.
That
Thank you
sounds
so much
good.
for
Well,
joining us
thanks,
tonight.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.